The Awakening. The Meridian Conclave had ruled the galaxy for over 2 centuries. Their sleek vessels, with hulls of crystalline alloy and powered by zero-point energy engines, enforced order across 12,000 star systems. No species dared challenge them. No civilization questioned their authority. Commander Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the Unwavering Doctrine, flagship of the Conclave's 3rd Exploration Regiment. Her iridescent skin caught the blue light of the command displays as she studied the unremarkable planet on the view screen. "Remind me again why we're inspecting this backwater," she asked, 4-fingered hands clasped behind her back. Lieutenant Thrix, her second in command, gestured to the data scrolling across his console. "Anomalous energy readings, Commander. Unlike anything in our database." Ilara's inner eyelids narrowed. In the 2 centuries since the Conclave had established dominance, they had catalogued every technological signature in known space. Unknown readings were concerning. "This was human territory once, wasn't it?" she asked. "Yes, Commander. One of their frontier outposts. Records show we neutralized it during the Containment War. Nothing should remain functional. Yet something was active down there. Something old." "Prepare a reconnaissance team," Ilara ordered. "I want answers, not theories." 4 hours later, Lieutenant Thrix returned, his usual composed demeanor shattered. "Commander," he whispered, "you need to see this immediately." The footage from the surface reconnaissance drones showed what appeared to be an abandoned human mining facility. But as the drones penetrated deeper, they revealed vast underground chambers stretching for kilometers. And inside those chambers, ships. Hundreds of them. Not the primitive vessels humans had piloted during the Containment War, but something else entirely. Something ancient, yet somehow more advanced. And they were powering up. "How is this possible?" Ilara breathed. "The humans were nothing, barely capable of interstellar flight when we contained them." "According to our scans," Thrix replied, "these vessels predate the Containment War by centuries. They've been dormant for nearly 1,000 years. 1,000 years. Before the Conclave, before humans were thought to have mastered even basic fusion power." "Deploy the ground forces," Ilara ordered. "I want those ships secured before." An alert blared across the bridge. On the view screen, the planet's surface rippled as massive bay doors opened in what they had assumed were natural mountain ranges. The first ship rose slowly, majestically into the atmosphere. It was enormous, dwarfing the Unwavering Doctrine by at least 4 times. Its hull was not the gleaming crystalline alloys of modern vessels, but something rougher, industrial plates of dark metal, scored with what appeared to be ancient battle scars, yet somehow intimidating in their aged functionality. "Commander," the communications officer called out, voice wavering, "we're being hailed." Ilara straightened her uniform. First contact protocol. The being that appeared on screen was undeniably human, though not like the scattered remnants the Conclave occasionally encountered in the galaxy's outer reaches. This human stood tall, shoulders draped in a midnight blue uniform adorned with unfamiliar insignia. His weathered face bore the marks of age, eyes reflecting a sharp intelligence, and something else, patience. The patience of something that had waited a very long time. "This is Fleet Admiral Marcus Chen of the Earth Preservation Force," the human said, voice deep and resonant. "You are trespassing in protected space." Ilara's mandibles clicked in barely contained amusement. Protected? By whom? Humanity is a broken species, scattered across refugee camps and labor colonies. You have no protection. The human's expression didn't change. "You misunderstand, Commander. We are not claiming protection from others. We are informing you that this space is protected by us." More ships were rising now. Dozens of them. Different designs, different sizes, but all bearing the same weathered, battle-hardened appearance. None of them matched any human vessel design in the Conclave archives. "Impossible," Ilara hissed. "These ships cannot be human. Your species never developed this level of technology." For the first time, the human smiled. There was no warmth in it. What you know of humanity is only what we allowed to be seen. Before your conclave existed, before your ancestors mastered basic spaceflight, we had already reached the stars. We had already fought our wars, built our empires, and learned the terrible cost of unchecked expansion. On the tactical display, the ancient human vessels were taking up formation. Their movement was precise, coordinated in a way that spoke of extensive military experience. Then why hide? Ilara demanded. Why pretend to be technological infants when the conclave rose? We had seen enough of war, Commander Chen replied simply. Our ancestors chose to step back, to hide our true capabilities, to let younger races make their own mistakes. We maintained a presence among the stars, but modest, unassuming. Until we attacked Earth, Ilara realized. Until you attacked what you thought was Earth, Chen corrected. A colony world with deliberately primitive technology, a decoy. Real Earth has remained hidden, along with our core worlds and these mothball fleets. Waiting, watching. The tactical officer's voice cut through the tension. Commander, multiple energy signatures activating across the system. More ships. Hundreds more. Ilara felt a chill run through her body. The Conclave had built its empire on the assumption that they were the technological apex of the galaxy, that nothing could challenge their warships. That assumption was crumbling before her eyes. Why now? She asked, struggling to maintain composure. If you've hidden all this time, why reveal yourselves? Chen's expression hardened. Because you've gone too far. The subjugation of the Altair Collective. The strip mining of the Vega worlds. The biological warfare against the Proxima species. We've watched, we've documented, and we've decided. No more. On the view screen, more ancient vessels appeared. Different classes, different designs, but all undeniably powerful. What the humans lacked in the sleek elegance of modern conclave ships, they more than compensated for in sheer mass and apparent firepower. This vessel has a crew of 8,000, Ilara said, a final attempt at intimidation. The finest warriors in the galaxy. This vessel, Chen replied, gesturing to his surroundings, has a crew of 50. Impossible. No ship that size could function with so few. Unless, Chen finished for her, our level of AI integration is beyond anything you could imagine. We fought our AI wars millennia ago, Commander. What emerged was partnership, not dominance. The human's voice softened slightly. I'm not here to destroy your ship, Commander Voss. I'm here to deliver a message. The era of the Conclave's unchecked expansion is over. Humanity is returning to the galactic stage, not as conquerors, but as guardians of balance. Another alert sounded. The tactical display showed 3 Conclave patrol cruisers dropping out of hyperspace, responding to the unwavering doctrine's automated alert. Ah, Chen said, noticing Ilara's momentary flicker of hope. Reinforcements. Good. More witnesses. Before Ilara could respond, 2 of the human vessels broke formation, moving with surprising speed toward the incoming cruisers. She expected them to open fire, to demonstrate their weapons' superiority. But instead, the massive ships simply passed near the conclave vessels. No, not just near, around them. The patrol cruisers suddenly found themselves encased in shifting fields of amber energy that seemed to emanate from the human ships. Containment fields. Chen explained calmly. Non-destructive. Your cruisers are unharmed, though they'll find their weapons and propulsion temporarily disabled. Ilara watched in stunned silence. The Conclave's most advanced shielding technology couldn't do what these ancient human vessels had just demonstrated. The implications were staggering. 300 years ago, Chen continued, we could have opposed your rise. We chose not to. We believed the galaxy needed to find its own balance, but you have proven unworthy of the power you wield. So now we return, not to rule, but to restore equilibrium. The human straightened, his voice taking on a formal tone. By authority of the Earth Preservation Directive, I hereby notify you that the Meridian Conclave's monopoly on military force is no longer recognized. Effective immediately, humanity will enforce the following: open access to star lanes for all species, prohibition of genocidal actions against sentient beings, and the right of all civilizations to maintain their cultural autonomy. Ilara's mind raced. This was unprecedented. No species had ever dictated terms to the Conclave. Yet she found herself without options. If these ancient vessels were as powerful as they appeared, her regiment stood no chance. And if we refused these terms, she managed. Chen's expression remained neutral. We have awakened one fleet, Commander. One of many scattered throughout the galaxy. We don't seek conflict, but make no mistake, we are prepared for it. As if to emphasize the point, one of the smaller human vessels approached a nearby uninhabited moon. A beam of concentrated energy lanced out from its bow, striking the celestial body. There was no explosive detonation, no dramatic destruction. Instead, the moon simply ceased to exist, its matter seemingly converted to energy in an instant. The bridge fell silent. That technology has been theoretical for us, Lieutenant Thrix whispered. Matter-energy conversion on a planetary scale. Return to your capital, Chen said. Inform your leaders. In 2 standard weeks, we will arrive with a diplomatic delegation to formalize new relations between humanity and the Conclave. How that meeting proceeds will determine the future of this galaxy. The transmission cut off. Around the unwavering doctrine, the human vessels began moving away, their engines leaving trails of blue-white energy that defied known physics. Commander Ilara Voss, master of the 3rd Exploration Regiment, conqueror of 18 star systems, felt something she hadn't experienced since her larval days. Fear. Plot a course for the capital, she ordered quietly. Maximum speed. As the unwavering doctrine prepared to depart, Ilara watched the ancient human vessels disappear one by one back into the planet's surface, returning to hibernation now that their message had been delivered. Humanity had revealed its true face, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The reckoning. The grand chamber of the Meridian Conclave hummed with tension. Representatives of 19 species filled the tiered seating that rose in concentric rings around the central platform. Commander Ilara Voss stood at attention, awaiting judgment after delivering her report. Supreme Arbiter Xorex Nil, ancient even by the standards of the long-lived Meridians, leaned forward on his crystalline throne. His exoskeleton had long ago faded from vibrant azure to pale lavender, but his compound eyes remained sharp, calculating. You expect us to believe, the Arbiter said, voice carrying through the perfect acoustics of the chamber, that a supposedly contained race has been hiding advanced technology that predates our conclave. Technology capable of neutralizing our vessels without effort. I have provided all sensor data, Excellency, Ilara replied, mandibles tight with tension. The footage is unaltered. The Arbiter gestured, and a holographic display activated above the central platform. The gathered representatives watched again as the ancient human vessels emerged from hiding, as they demonstrated power beyond anything in the Conclave's arsenal. If this is true, hissed Councillor Drez of the Vaspar Confederation, we face an existential threat. Not necessarily, countered Ambassador Talon, the massive avian diplomat from the Rexel worlds. The humans spoke of balance, not conquest. Perhaps negotiation. Negotiation. General Kree slammed his armored appendage on the rail. We are the Conclave. We do not negotiate with lesser species. The Arbiter raised a hand, silencing the chamber. What do our intelligence services know of these humans, their true capabilities, their numbers? Director Silith of Central Intelligence rose from her seat. Very little, Excellency. We believe their homeworld was neutralized during the containment war. Clearly, we were mistaken. She activated a secondary display, showing fragmented historical records. Our archives mention ancient human conflicts that mysteriously ceased approximately 1,100 standard years ago, coinciding with what remaining historical texts call the Great Withdrawal. We assumed this referred to a technological regression. Now it appears it was a deliberate concealment. And these other fleets they mentioned. The Arbiter pressed. Unknown, Excellency. If they've maintained secrecy this effectively for a millennium, our intelligence is severely compromised. The Arbiter's inner membranes flickered, a sign of deep concern. 2 weeks, they said. 2 weeks until they arrive for diplomacy. We could summon the combined fleet, General Kree suggested. 15,000 vessels. Even with superior technology, they could not withstand such numbers. The chamber erupted in debate, voices overlapping until Ambassador Talon's resonant tones cut through the chaos. And if we fail, if their capabilities exceed even what Commander Voss witnessed, we risk not just defeat but annihilation. The Arbiter stood, silencing the chamber instantly. We have built this conclave on strength, on certainty. These humans have introduced doubt, and doubt is the enemy of empire. His ancient eyes fixed on Ilara. Commander, you faced them. You spoke with them. What assessment does your instinct offer? Ilara straightened. They could have destroyed us, Excellency. They chose not to. That suggests restraint, perhaps even reluctance. But in the human admiral's eyes, there was resolve there. Unshakable resolve. If pushed, I believe they will fight, and I cannot guarantee our victory. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Then, the Arbiter said softly, we must prepare for all possibilities. 7 light-years from the conclave capital, aboard the human command vessel Remembrance, Fleet Admiral Marcus Chen studied the tactical displays showing the massive buildup of conclave forces. They're mobilizing everything, noted his second-in-command, Captain Diana Rivera. 15,000 vessels at last count. Chen nodded, unsurprised. Predictable. The conclave has maintained control through military supremacy for too long. They don't know any other way. The command center of the Remembrance bore little resemblance to the sterile, minimalist bridges of modern vessels. Warm wood paneling lined the walls, interspersed with screens displaying ship systems. The lighting was soft amber rather than harsh white. Despite its advanced technology, there was something almost nostalgic about the design. The diplomatic team is ready, Diana said. Ambassador Harrison is eager to begin negotiations. Chen's expression remained thoughtful. Did I make a mistake, Diana? Revealing ourselves like this instead of continuing the watch? Diana considered the question, dark eyes serious beneath her close-cropped hair. You saw the data -73 species extinct or endangered under conclave expansion in the past century alone. 4 habitable worlds rendered sterile for resource extraction. The time of watching had to end. A soft chime announced another presence, the holographic figure of ARI, Advanced Responsive Intelligence Algorithm, materialized nearby. Her form was deliberately humanoid, but with subtle visual cues that marked her as synthetic. Fleet status update, she announced. All 18 preservation fleets are now at activation level 3. The Centauri and Ta Siti contingents report ready for deployment if needed. Chen nodded. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. The probability of conclave aggression stands at 67.8%. Araya noted. They're afraid. Fear rarely leads to rational decisions. And what would you recommend? Chen asked, valuing her perspective as he always had. Demonstration. Araya replied immediately. Something beyond what we've shown already. Something that makes those 15,000 ships irrelevant. Chen exchanged glances with Diana. The Sentinel. It might be necessary, Diana agreed reluctantly. Chen sighed. The Sentinel had been built at the height of humanity's technological capabilities before the Great Withdrawal. It represented powers so immense that their ancestors had sealed it away, fearing their own capacity for destruction. Prepare it, he decided, but pray we don't need it. 2 weeks passed with agonizing slowness. The conclave capital world of Mirithos bristled with defenses. Every citizen with military training was activated. Planetary shields, never before deemed necessary, were hastily brought online. When the human diplomatic fleet arrived, it was deliberately modest, 5 vessels only, with the Remembrance at its center. But what they lacked in numbers, they made up for in presence. The vessels moved with impossible precision, their ancient hulls radiating power readings that sent conclave sensors into confusion. In the Grand Chamber, Supreme Arbiter Xorax Nil sat rigid on his throne, surrounded by the full Conclave Council and backed by the combined Fleet Admiralty. Though outwardly calm, his inner thoughts churned with strategies, contingencies, and one overwhelming question: could the Conclave survive what was coming? The human delegation entered without fanfare. 5 figures in simple blue uniforms, led by a silver-haired woman whose bearing radiated quiet authority. Ambassador Sophia Harrison. She introduced herself with a slight bow. Representative of the Earth Preservation Council. The Arbiter inclined his head fractionally. Supreme Arbiter Xorax Nil of the Meridian Conclave. You stand before the combined might of 12,000 star systems. Harrison's smile was diplomatic but unyielding. And you stand at a crossroads, Excellency. The path you choose today will echo across generations. Threats already, General Kree growled. Not threats, Harrison corrected calmly. Context. For nearly 2 centuries, your conclave has expanded unchecked, consuming resources, subjugating species, steering the galaxy toward homogeneity. We've observed, documented, and waited, hoping you would find balance on your own. She gestured, and a holographic display blossomed in the center of the hall. Countless images of conclave conquests, ecological devastation, species extinction. But balance never came, she continued. So now we offer a choice. Adapt to a new reality where power is shared, where diversity is protected, or face a force that your ancestors once feared enough to erase from historical records. The Arbiter's mandibles clicked softly. Bold words for a species whose visible presence is 5 ships. Harrison's expression didn't change. Would you like to see more? Before anyone could respond, the chamber's main display activated, showing real-time footage from orbit. Through the field of conclave vessels, space itself seemed to ripple, distort, and then tear open. What emerged defied comprehension. It wasn't a ship in any conventional sense. It was a structure, a lattice of dark material that expanded until it dwarfed even the largest conclave dreadnought. At its center pulsed a light that shifted through colors no being in the chamber had words to describe. The Sentinel, Harrison said softly. Built during what your historians would call the late Anthropocene era, a single construct capable of manipulating spacetime itself. The chamber erupted in chaos as the tactical displays showed conclave ships attempting to engage the structure, and failing. Energy weapons dissipated harmlessly against its surface. Kinetic projectiles were diverted, their trajectories bent as if space itself rejected their presence. Enough. The Arbiter's voice cut through the panic. What do you want from us? Harrison's expression softened slightly. We want what we've always wanted, Excellency. Peace, diversity, balance, the freedom for each species to develop according to their own nature, not under the boot of empire. She stepped forward, placing a small device on the central platform. It projected a document, the Galactic Compact. The terms are simple, she explained. The conclave transitions from conqueror to mediator. Military forces are reduced to defensive levels. All slave labor practices end. Ecological restoration begins on damaged worlds. In exchange, humanity shares aspects of our technology, carefully, responsibly, to improve quality of life across the galaxy. And if we refuse? The Arbiter asked, though the answer was clear. Harrison's voice remained gentle but firm. Then the age of the conclave ends today, and a new order begins without you. For a long moment, the Grand Chamber was silent. Then, slowly, Ambassador Talon stepped forward. The Rexel worlds would hear more of this compact. He was followed by representatives from the Vaspar Confederation, then the Tellurian League, species that had joined the conclave under duress, that had suffered under its rule. The arbiter's inner membranes flickered rapidly as he processed the shifting balance of power before his eyes. With deliberate movements, he rose from his throne. "The conclave will consider these terms," he announced. "A recess of 3 standard days is called for consultation." In the observation lounge of the Remembrance, Admiral Chen watched the stars through the ancient viewport. The glass was actual silicate, not the energy fields used in modern vessels. Another anachronism his ancestors had maintained. "They'll accept," Ambassador Harrison said, joining him. "Their intelligence services are already piecing together the true history, how humanity reached the stars millennia before the official records show, how we fought our wars, made our mistakes, and chose to step back rather than repeat them. They're beginning to understand what they're facing." Chen nodded. "And the Sentinel. A necessary demonstration. Some truths must be seen to be believed." A comfortable silence fell between them before Chen spoke again. "I've often wondered if our ancestors made the right choice, hiding our capabilities, watching as younger races stumbled through the same mistakes we once made." "They chose the harder path," Harrison replied. "It's easy to conquer, easy to control. Much harder to watch and wait, to have the patience to let others learn their own lessons." "And now," Harrison smiled, a genuine expression that reached her eyes. "Now we do what humans have always done best. We adapt, we guide, we protect, not as conquerors, but as teachers." On the tactical display, the first conclave ships were already standing down, pulling back from aggressive formations. The beginning of a new era. "Will it work?" Chen asked, voicing the doubt that had haunted him since he'd first advocated for the Great Revelation. Harrison placed a hand on his shoulder. "History isn't made by those who know all the answers, Marcus. It's made by those willing to ask better questions. That's what sets humanity apart. Not our ships, not our technology, but our endless capacity to imagine better futures and then work to create them." Around them, the ancient vessel hummed with power, a silent vanguard that had waited a millennium for this moment. The galaxy would never be the same. And perhaps at last, it would be better.